mind gaming was simple. You pay for the game and you enjoy. With mobile apps, we now have the ability to make games that are boring and stupid. But if you pay for incentives, you're rewarded.
Free doesn't always mean free, and it certainly doesn't always mean good. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 game franchises tainted by free-to-play. For this list, we're looking at well-established and beloved video game franchises which started out as retail games, then dipped their toes into free-to-play and left us with a tainted experience.
Freemium. The meum is Latin for not really.
Number 10. Final Fantasy All the Bravest. Final Fantasy series. Despite being amongst the most storied RPG franchises in gaming history, this series' success did not carry over to the title All the Bravest. On the surface, it sounds awesome, since it lets you fight a collection of some of the most iconic enemies in the series using all of the bravest characters from throughout the franchise's lengthy history. Unfortunately, 35 of these sweet characters are locked behind a paywall and cost $1 each. And get this, you can't even choose which one you get when you choose to buy. Womp womp. Number 9. Real Racing. Real Racing series. The first 2 iterations of this racing franchise were highly lauded for being some of the finest driving games for the iOS. Sadly, the third title went the freemium route, and the results were not pretty. To start, there were pricey real-world cars, which could cost as much as 160 real-world dollars. Even worse though, you had to pay for repairs to your car after the races were over, or just wait a super long time for it to repair itself. This was such an unpopular feature that EA patched the game to cut these times in half, but the damage was done, so to speak. Number 8. Dungeon Hunter 3, and onwards. Dungeon Hunter series. Next up is yet another iOS franchise where the third game went astray. The first 2 titles in the action RPG series were some of the best Diablo clones you could find on mobile. But not so much for the third game Onward, which jettisoned a decent amount of the narrative along with its initial purchase price.
Halt! Stop. That is, you don't want to go that way.
Additionally, the arena levels can be really frustrating, and you'll need to buy keys to unlock the treasure you earn after each one once you get through the initial 10. That's lame.
You must save them. I was separated from a group holding out near the water clock. You must save them.
I'll do what I can.
Number 7. Killer Instinct. Killer Instinct series. We waited 17 years for the return of this legendary arcade fighting franchise, but the Xbox One's 2013 free-to-play version did not live up to the hype. This was partially due to the limited character selection, since at launch, Jago was the only character you could play for free, and additional characters cost $5 each, leading to way too many people using him online. Even though the free character now rotates on a schedule, you're best to stick with the original games to get your fix of the series' famous combos. Number 6. Tales of Phantasia. Tales series. The 90s versions of this JRPG for the PS1 and Game Boy Advance is a classic of the genre, but the same cannot be said about its iOS port. While it nicely adopted the combat to touch screen, it stumbled by making many of the bosses practically unbeatable. Unbeatable, that is, unless you purchase the healing miracle orbs for $2 each, which revive your party when they fall in battle. Even if you did get sucked into buying them, they became worthless once Namco made the app unusable in July 2014. Number 5. Roller Coaster Tycoon 4 Mobile. Roller Coaster Tycoon series. Here's another franchise with a later installment that ruined your childhood memories. Many grew up with the simulation series' first 3 entries, which let them create awesome, if sometimes flat-out deadly rides. The 4th game, for mobile, looked like its predecessors, but the gameplay was wrecked by requiring the purchase of tickets to speed up the building process, on top of the initial $2.99 cost. It later became free to play, but it didn't feel any more worthwhile. Number 4. Soul Calibur Lost Swords. Soul Calibur series.
My blade is angry. Want a taste?
This weapon-based fighting game series is right up there with the greats of the genre, but its free-to-play version for the PS3, Lost Swords, really isn't one of them.
You're not.
Loosely based off Soul Calibur 5, it strips the title of its multiplayer fun for an entirely single-player experience.
No need for words. I speak with this.
Although a single-player game isn't horrible, this is a fighting game. Where's the fun to be had if you can't embarrass your friends with a little button mashing? Then there's the load times. Snore.
Your skill in battle is commendable.
Number 3. Metal Slug Defense. Metal Slug series. Why would anyone turn an awesome run-and-gun series into a bland, lane defense game? We don't know, but developer SNK Playmore seemed to think that it was a good idea for defense. They are free-to-play mobile entry in the franchise. Sadly, they went wrong, as it gets the aesthetic appeal of the originals, including the iconic mission start voiceover,
Mission start!
but without the fun. Even worse, you'll need to upgrade your troops to get very far, and that will require microtransactions. Lastly, someone should have told the developers that strategy is an important aspect of this genre, because you really don't need any here, just money.
Mission complete!
Number 2. Plants vs. Zombies 2. Plants vs. Zombies series. When the first entry in this mobile franchise came out, it was a refreshing contribution to the tower defense genre, thanks to its hilarious humor, addictive gameplay, and morbid but adorable animations. Plants vs. Zombies 2 brought all those elements back, but it also added some vicious difficulty spikes, which made it tough to unlock new worlds without buying your way there. Don't feel like paying? Well, prepare to grind yourself silly. You'll also be shelling out for premium plants. Plants you got for free in the original. Before we get to our number 1 pick, let's take a look at some honorable, or in this case, dishonorable mentions. Number 1. Dungeon Keeper Mobile. Dungeon Keeper series. Greedily topping our list is this 2013 mobile version of the RTS franchise. Fans were waiting a really long time for a sequel to the Dungeon Keeper franchise, and unfortunately, they had to wait a lot longer because as they finished the tutorial, they were greeted with an arena with a 4-hour timer for excavation, unless of course, you paid to speed it up. And that's just the first paywall, of which there are many. EA got into a fair amount of trouble for this one. Not only were they accused of manipulating reviews in the Google Play Store, but they were also found guilty of false advertising in the UK for advertising their veiled cash grab as free.
And in case you've forgotten, I hail from a place that is fatally rotten.
At least Electronic Arts has a great reputation with gamers already, right?
The hand of evil strikes again.
Do you agree with our list?
I wish I could share in your bravado.
What game franchise do you think was better in its non-freemium form? For more free-to-watch top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
So this is... everyone is doing this?